Welcome to Fighting Stats, the ultimate channel for MMA fans who love statistics and betting breakdowns. I'm your host, Art C, and I'm here to get you ready for the upcoming UFC fights. In this series, I'll be watching tape and providing my real-time analysis on how I think the fights are going to go. I'll be watching for fighters' strengths, weaknesses, tendencies, and overall strategies, pairing that with Fighting Stats' exclusive UFC stats not available anywhere else to give you a prediction on how I think the fights are going to go and ultimately who's going to win. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Fighting Stats. Welcome back to Fighting Stats. I'm your host, Art C, and today we are breaking down the UFC 299 main event between Sugar Sean O'Malley and Marlon Cheeto Vera. Here we're going to break it down. We've watched all the Marlon Vera fight tape. We've watched all of the Sugar Sean O'Malley fight tape, so we are fresh in our mind. We're going to break it down here. What we're going to do is first we're going to go deep into the fighting stats, give you all the numbers that you need to know about this to fight, where all the strengths and weaknesses lie on paper. Then I'll give you my prediction on how I think the fight is going to go. And then we'll go into our best bets, our tracker there. We'll break down the numbers, tell you where the value is and how much of your bankroll to put on each bet. So let's get into it. Let's start out here. So starting with the tail of the tape, we have Sean O'Malley in the blue corner, of Marlon Vera in the red corner here. We take a look at the height and reach. So Sean O'Malley is going to have a 3-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. Sean O'Malley very big for the weight division there. Overall, Sean O'Malley 9-1 in the UFC. 67% of his wins coming from KO, 33% by decision. He does have one loss. That was to Cheeto Vera, one loss coming from KO. We'll talk about that loss in a bit here. On the Marlon Vera side, 15-7 in the UFC. 47% of his wins by coming from KO, 27 by submission, and 27 by decision. 7 losses, never been finished in the UFC, all of them coming from decision. Okay, so let's get straight into the Sean O'Malley offensive striking stats here. So Sean O'Malley going to be a distance striker. 93% of his shots landed are going to be at a distance there. You see 2% in the clinch and then 4% on the ground. He's going to want to keep the distance, keep the fight standing there. In terms of target breakdown, mostly a headhunter, 78% of his shots going towards the head. Doesn't work in the body 16% of the time, and then 6% leg kicks as well. Striking accuracy, pretty good if I'm being honest. 56% head strike accuracy, 75 towards the body, and 96 towards the leg accuracy there as well. And then average strikes thrown by round, pretty decently high volume. 46 strikes thrown in round number 1, 49 in round number 2, and 70 strikes in round number 3. Definitely goes up in volume as the fight goes on. In terms of strikes landed, 27 in round 1, 31 in round 2, and 44 in round 3. Does have 6 career knockdowns, 4 of them coming in round 1, 1 in round 2, and 1 in round 3. So keep that in mind there. And then again, average strikes landed by round. You can see the head strikes landed increasing as the rounds go on as well. So he just definitely looks like he finds his groove as the fight goes on there. Here is his fight log here. Overall, 59% striking accuracy. Again, we talked about those 6 knockdowns there. That most recent one in the last fight against Aljamain Sterling. He does have a knockdown against Paiva as well. Thomas Almeida in round number 1. Thomas Almeida in round number 3. Eddie Wineland there as well. So I wouldn't say a huge power puncher, but he does have power in his hands, and mostly the power is coming from his speed and his length. So does, again, 6 knockdowns, not pretty good. In terms of leg kicks, I wanted to show you the leg kicks. 72%, 72 leg kicks thrown. 69 of them have been successful. Again, the leg kick accuracy is pretty good there. And has thrown a bunch of leg kicks against Aljamain Sterling. He did not, because again, Aljamain Sterling wants to get him down. But against Piotr Jan there, Pedro Munoz threw a decent number of leg kicks there. So Let's go over to the defensive striking. These numbers are going to pop off the page for me. 89% of strikes against at a distance, again, because Sean O'Malley is going to keep that distance there. 4% on in the clinch and 7% on the ground. Target against, 69% of the shots against towards the head, 13 towards the body, and 18 towards the leg. Does eat some leg kicks there. Defensive striking, here's the number that really pops out. 24% head strike defense. So very good number there. 50% towards the body, 80% towards the legs. And then strikes absorbed by rounds, pretty consistent. 13 strikes absorbed in round number 1, 17 strikes absorbed in number 2, and 16 in round number 3. You do see the volumes thrown at him, though, has increased 34, 43, and 47, but the actual strikes absorbed are pretty good. So the efficiency does drop when you're fighting O'Malley as the rounds go on there. Throughout his UFC career, has never been knocked down, worth noting there, and 41% significant strikes against. Again, he has eaten a bunch of leg kicks here. Aljamain Sterling went 11 of 13. Petr Yan went 11 of 11 in round 1, 5 of 5 in round 2 again. Pedro Munoz, big leg kicker there, went 19 of 22 in round number 1, 7 of 8 in round number 2. So just wanted to highlight some of those leg kick numbers there as well. Going over to the Marlon Vera side, he's going to have a little bit of a mix. 77% of his strikes are going to be at a distance, 11% in the clinch, and 12% on the ground. His target breakdown, 69% towards the head, 17 towards the body, and about 14 towards the legs there. Not a huge leg kicker, but does have some decent numbers in terms of the leg kicks. Head strike accuracy, 41% there, 64 towards the body, and 83 towards the legs. Somewhat of a slower starter. We talked about it in the fight tape there. Almost always losing round number 1, except for that last fight against Pedro Munoz. You can see the strikes thrown in round number 1, the lowest of all the rounds, 29 strikes thrown, 14 of them landing. And then as it goes, the rounds go on, 42 in round 2, 54 in round number 3, drops off a little bit in round 4 to 39, and then pops back up to 47 in round 5 there. And again, strikes landed also goes up as the strikes are thrown there. Does have a decent number of knockdowns as well. Overall, how many knockdowns is it? 12 knockdowns in the UFC. Had 3 against Dominic Cruz, 3 against Rob Font, 1 against Frankie Edgar. So decent numbers there. More recently in those 6 in those 2 fights alone. So decent numbers there. And again, his head strikes go up as the rounds go on as well. Defensive striking here, we're going to talk about that. 81% of his defensive strikes are at a distance, 7% in the clinch, and 11% on the ground, whereas his target breakdown against, 75 towards the head, 15 towards the body, and 10% towards the leg. Overall defensive head strike accuracy, 39%, so okay there, 70% towards the body, and 83% towards the legs. And then you can see the average strikes absorbed by rounds actually goes up as the rounds go on. 21 strikes absorbed in round 1, 25 in rounds 2 and 3, 26 in round 4, and 36 in round number 5. Over his career, he has 12 knockdowns, 4, 0 knockdowns against. So both fighters there, O'Malley and Chito Vera, have never been knocked down in the UFC. Worth noting there. And again, look at some of these leg kick numbers. Again, he fought Pedro Munoz, big leg kicker. Almost 40 leg kicks thrown towards him against Pedro Munoz. Sandhagen, decent job leg kicking as well. Dominic Cruz actually ended up landing a couple of leg kicks. You can tell in the fight tape, Marlon Vera not a huge fan of taking the leg kicks. You can see them sort of piling on a little bit. Even Rob Font landing a couple, Frankie Edgar landing a couple sort of things. So that shows up in the fight tape as well. So let's go over to the grappling report. I'm not too confident that either guy would be looking for the grappling, so we'll see what the numbers say, see if that agrees with sort of what I've seen in the eye test. Sean O'Malley, offensive grappling here, only attempts 0.3 takedowns in round number 1. 0 of them have been successful. Round 3, he averages 0.8 attempts there, 0.6 have been successful. Overall in his UFC career, has only attempted 7 takedowns. 3 of them have been successful, so not the best takedown accuracy. But again, he wants to keep the fight standing. He's more of a distance striker. We talked about 91% of his strikes coming from a distance, so that's his game plan. Going to want to circle the outside, keep the fight standing. So don't really see him trying for a takedown. Let's see if Chito Vera will try for a takedown in terms of Sean O'Malley's defensive grappling. Hasn't seen a whole bunch of takedowns, have 28 takedowns attempted against. 11 of them have been successful there. Gave up some decent control time against Petr Yan there in rounds 2 and 3. Yan trying to get him down. Aljamain Sterling struggled to get him down there, attempting 2 takedowns. 0 of them have been successful. So worth noting there. Petr Yan probably the best grappler that he's faced there, and able to grapple with him a little bit. On the Marlon Vera side, same sort of numbers as the Sean O'Malley side. 28 takedowns attempted in his UFC career. 11 of them have been successful. Most of the takedown attempts coming in rounds 1 and 2, 0.5 and 0.6 attempted, and 0.2 and 0.2 in terms of being successful there. So not the highest level of success in terms of takedowns offensively for Marlon Vera there. Takedown attempts against 74. He has seen 74 takedowns against. 22 of them been successful. Pretty decent takedown defense from what we've seen on tape. But again, Sean O'Malley is not going to want to get this fight down to the ground. So it looks from the numbers, the fight's going to probably stay standing. Sean O'Malley is not going to attempt a lot of takedowns. Marlon Vera, decent takedown defense. And then on the flip side, I don't really see Marlon Vera trying to shoot for many takedowns. And then again, Sean O'Malley has given up some top time, so if Marlon Vera does go for a takedown, maybe get some top time, I just don't think he's on the level of Petr Yan in terms of his grappling. So Sean O'Malley did show some good get-ups in that fight as well. So I think the fight probably stays up on the feet. Let's go into the fight stats time breakdown here. Here we have Sean O'Malley. So a majority of his fights, we just talked about it. 90% of his fight time here going to be standing, 2% in the clinch, 2% defending takedowns. So and about 5% on the ground there, so not a ton of time there. Not a ton of time. Top time, again, he's not going to look to grapple. When he was on the bottom, 84% of that time was in the full guard, 12% of the time was in half guard, only 4% in side control. So really not in any danger when he was on the ground, especially against Petr Yan sort of thing. So I really don't see Chito Vera getting much success on the ground. If he does, it's going to be in full guard for most of the time. Again, I don't see it being too successful. On the Vera side here, 85% of his fight tape is going to be spent standing, 2% in the clinch, 13% on the ground. When he is on ground on top, he was 53% in full mount, 24% in side control, and 24% in half guard there. And then when he's on the bottom, again, we'll just talk about 74% was in full guard. So again, I don't see a huge lot of grappling, so I'm not going to spend too much time breaking down the numbers here. Again, it's mostly going to be striking affair, so we'll go into a little bit of their striking tendencies. Sean O'Malley here, he does throw a lot of single strikes. 79% of his strikes are going to be single strikes. Does throw a lot of kicks as well. 27% of his strikes going to be kicks. Majority of his strikes going to be the single jab. He likes the single jab, but he does switch from southpaw to orthodox, so he's always moving in and out. So the jab does come 21% of the time. 18% he does throw the single two, and then he throws the rear high kick 14% of the time, 1-2 13% of the time, and double jab 5% of the time. So pretty straight punches when he does throw, and then he does throw both high kicks with both legs there, and he switches stance fairly often. Whereas on the Chito Vera side here, he spends most of the time, I want to say, in southpaw, but he can switch as well. 26% of his strikes are going to be the single jab, and then he does throw the rear low kick 8% of the time, the 1-2 8% of the time, and the single 2 8% of the time as well. So pretty straight punches there as well for Chito Vera. So those were the numbers here. In terms of the striking, again, I do think that the fight plays out on the feet. What we saw in the fight tape, I think I'm pretty convinced in terms of how I think the fight's going to go. Again, Sean O'Malley, again, going to be a distance striker, so that's what he wants to do. Again, this is the bigger cage. It's going to go down in Miami, so it's going to be one of the bigger cage. I think it favors Sean O'Malley because he does like to dance around the outside, use a lot of kicks. Again, switches from southpaw to orthodox. What I find is that he sort of kicks when he's going mirroring his opponent. So when his opponent's in southpaw, he goes southpaw, then he will throw the outside low kick, especially orthodox versus orthodox. And then when he switches to opposing stances, so his opponent is orthodox and he goes southpaw, he will often kick towards the body, trying to drop those hands a little bit. If he can work the body a little bit, get those hands a little bit lower, it sets up his strikes there. And he is very long on his strikes, a lot of straight punches down the middle, 1-2, very fast, straight 2, and he does like to step into it a little bit. So again, I want to say not a ton of KO power, but a lot of his power comes from the speed and catching his opponents off guard. A lot of the times, he's going to maintain that kicking distance. He's going to stand on the outside. A lot of the fighters that he fights are going to be a little bit short on the entries. And then so it forces the opponent to sort of come into striking range. And then he has a very good step back right hand. He knocked out Aljamain Sterling with. He has very fast counter strikes. So that's what his game plan is going to be. It's sort of every fight that he sort of does. He stands on the outside, kicks his way, stands on the outside. And then when you come in, he enters with his strikes there. We talked about it in the fight tape. If you go back and watch it against the Chris Moutinho one, that one really stood out because he was a short notice fight, minus 1,000 odds on Sean O'Malley, but Moutinho really was in his face. He never stopped coming forward, and it really made Sean O'Malley fight off of his back foot. It was a showcase in terms of Sean O'Malley being able to fight off his back foot because he was able to pop him back, pop him with jabs, hit him with right straights, but again, not able to sit down on a lot of punches because he's always moving. So again, one of those like stick and move, pop you, touch you sort of thing. So I can see this going pretty long in terms of the striking details. So we'll go into the Chito Vera side, and then I'll tell you sort of how I see the fight going. But Sean O'Malley, again, he's going to want to stay on the outside, pop those kicks, pop those jabs, right hands, left hand. He does a variety of strikes, but a lot of the strikes are going to be down the middle, straight punches, things like that. And again, working in both kicks, outside low kicks, inside low kicks, high kicks, body kicks, all that stuff. I do see him working the body again to drop those hands to set up the high kicks, things like that. Whereas on the Chito Vera side, he is mostly a striker. He's going to throw his kicks as well, mostly countering. But what I've seen from the fight tape from Chito Vera, and we'll talk about it here, he did fight a couple of guys, and again, we're going to talk about his slow start. So almost every single fight, except for the Pedro Munoz fight, which was his last fight, he's lost every single round one that he's fought. He takes it off. He's a very slow starter. I think what it is he's trying to find the range, get the timing. So a couple of these guys against, Corey Sandhagen, Dominic Cruz, Rob Font, Frankie Edgar, they all came out of the gate landing huge number of volume early, and then Chito Vera falls behind on the scorecards and then has to pick them up again. But Chito Vera does do a good job of limiting the amount of damage. He does keep a nice high guard up. He keeps it going backwards. Rob Font and Dominic Cruz landing a bunch of uppercuts up the middle because, again, they're trying to split the guard. Not really some of the strikes that Sean O'Malley throws. He does throw some uppercuts, but, again, mostly 1-2s, and he's pretty accurate. But I can see them going off of the guard of Marlon Vera. And, again, I can see the leg kicks working for Sean O'Malley as well. One of the biggest things that we noticed here is I'm going to repeat this over and over here in terms of this breakdown. This breakdown is going to come down to minutes versus moments. And now what I mean by that is Sean O'Malley is going to win all of the minutes. He's going to win the volume exchanges. Right, we talked about the offensive striking. Again, Chito Vera only throws 29 strikes in round number 1, whereas Sean O'Malley, look at his round number 1, he's going to throw 46 strikes. So most likely that Sean O'Malley is going to win the significant strike battle. He's going to land more significant strikes. He's going to land more numbers. So that's what I mean by minutes. He's going to win the minutes of the rounds, whereas Marlon Vera, he's more moments. And he's going to need more moments, big swings, big knockdowns to win fights here. And I wanted to highlight here, let's go into specifically the Rob Font fight and the Dominic Cruz fight. Both of those guys, very good movement guys. Rob Font will sit in the pocket. Dominic Cruz, a lot of outside movement, moving around, things like that. Both of those guys, and even Corey Sandhagen, both of those guys, all three of those guys are volume guys. All stayed on the outside, picked Marlon Vera apart. Marlon Vera really struggled with the distance management in that fight. He wants to sit down. He wants to throw big punches, but as his opponent moves away, it becomes difficult for him to really land. So that's what I mean by moments. Rob Font was winning those moments, was winning clearly round 1, and then rounds 2, 3, and 4. At the tail end of those rounds, Marlon Vera gets a knockdown and then ends up on top on the ground, and some ground and pound there. So that's what I mean by moments. Marlon Vera wins those rounds because he ends up getting a knockdown. So he wins round 2 against Rob Font. He wins round 3 against Rob Font with a knockdown. He wins round 4 against Rob Font because of knockdowns. Same thing with Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz winning the rounds based on volume. Knocks down Dominic Cruz at the end of round 1. Knocks down and KOs Dominic Cruz in round 4. Those are the big moments that I'm talking talking about that he uses to win these decisions, right? So without the knockdowns, though, without knocking down Rob Font a bunch of times, without knocking down Dominic Cruz, without, he probably would have lost those fights had they gone to decision. And a good example of that is the Corey Sandhagen fight, where Corey Sandhagen just out-volumed him, out-pieced him, outworked him. I thought Corey Sandhagen won 50-45 in that fight because, again, he just out-volumed him, outworked him. So, again, we talked about Sean O'Malley. I want to say he does have a chin, and it's not that he's been hit clean, but if you do go to the very first Marlon Vera fight, Sean O'Malley was winning that fight. He was standing up. He was standing on the outside. Again, it's round one. Marlon Vera loses all round ones all the time. But we could really see Marlon Vera struggling with the movement of Sean O'Malley outside. Like, he couldn't reach him. He couldn't land cleanly on him. Looked like Sean O'Malley was on his way to sort of winning that fight before he rolled his ankle. Once he rolled his ankle, all the lateral movement stopped from O'Malley. He was sort of a sitting duck, and then Marlon Vera able to capitalize on, get the knockdown. And when the fight did go down to the ground, Marlon Vera ate through some huge elbows, huge right elbows, left elbows. Sean O'Malley was not even rocked. He ate those elbows like a champ. Just tells me that he has a decent chin as well as his good striking there. And it does show up in the numbers, noting that Sean O'Malley has never been knocked down in the UFC. Not a huge list of killers in terms of strikers, but again, never been knocked down in the UFC. Same thing with Chito Vera. So all that to say, moments versus minutes. Sandhagen winning minutes and Chito Vera not able to get the moments, again, because he's not able to knock down somebody like Sandhagen, who is also pretty durable. I basically see that fight going very similar to the O'Malley-Vera. O'Malley's going to stand on the outside, pick his shots, kick him, stick and move. He's going to circle off the fence, things like that. It probably goes 5 rounds because, again, neither guy gets knocked down. I just don't think Marlon Vera is going to have the moments and enough moments to really win this fight. He's going to need a big knockout, and he's going to need a knockout clean. It's just we haven't seen Sean O'Malley get knocked out or even really rocked, for that matter. He is able to take a shot and still stick and move. And I think the movement O'Malley, it limits how much power Marlon Vera can actually throw. And because Marlon Vera has to sit down on those punches, he's just not going to be there. He's going to be short on the punches. The last fight that Marlon Vera won there against Pedro Munoz, Marlon Vera had a 5.5-inch reach advantage. That's why he was able to beat Munoz. Munoz was sticking and moving, staying on the outside, a lot of kicks and stuff like that. But it's the punches that Pedro Munoz then had to get on the inside to try to throw his punches. And like Sean O'Malley, Marlon Vera is also a counter puncher. So when you enter into his range, then he's going to pop the jab, he's going to pop his straight hand, all that stuff. So with Sean O'Malley having the range advantage and the distance management advantage, I just don't think he's there when Marlon Vera sits down on his punches and tries to throw. Marlon Vera doesn't do a really good job of moving and striking. He wants to sit down, plant. He wants to counter as you come forward, right? And he'll pop you as a jab as you come forward. But against Sean O'Malley, the game plan of Sean O'Malley is just on the outside. I just don't see a lot of success for Marlon Vera. Again, it's sort of more of a puncher's chance. He does like to throw the left high kick a lot from southpaw. But Sean O'Malley does a good job of limiting that type of damage. So I just don't think he's going to have a ton of success. Sorry there. I think it's going to be mostly Sean O'Malley, again, winning the minutes. I just don't see many moments. Maybe Vera gets one knockdown and maybe can steal around from a knockdown. But just like the Dominic Cruz fight, just like the Rob Font fight, he's going to need multiple knockdowns in this long fight to win multiple rounds. I just don't see it. Sean O'Malley's pretty good, especially look at, we talked about his distance defense, right? 24% defensive striking head defense. So Sean O'Malley does a very good job of just moving out of the way, moving the head, good, decent head movement. 24% head strike defense is very good. So it's not like Marlon Vera throws a ton of volume either that he can get 1 in 4. If it's okay if he lands 1 in 4. He's really only throwing 25-something strikes there, so only maybe landing 5 shots around in terms of the head strikes. So again, I'm pretty confident that this is going to be a Sean O'Malley fight. It probably goes to decision again from what we've seen. But we'll go into the numbers here. Let me pull up our bankroll tracker, handy dandy worksheet here. Again, what I like to do is I like to go through the numbers, assign a percentage to the specific outcomes. That gives me a total money line in terms of who I think the favorite should be, and it also tells me where the value bets are, and it also tells me how much to bet on each side. So we're leaving Sean O'Malley here on the blue side. Marlon Vera is going to be on the red side. We're going to start with Sean O'Malley to win by TKO. I definitely think it's possible. It's going to be a 5-round fight, so keep that in mind. Marlon Vera, a slow starter, but he does have cardio for days. So maybe into the later round, Marlon Vera picks up. Sean O'Malley has some nasty leg kicks, so maybe the TKO comes from accumulation of leg kicks as well. Definitely slowing down Vera, and again, the speed advantage for Sean O'Malley is there. So I don't say it's too high because, again, Marlon Vera can take some damage. He can take some big shots, never been knocked down as well. So I don't think it's more than 20%. I'm going to leave it as 20% to be respected. I don't think it's going to be less than 20%, but not much more than 20%. Sean O'Malley to win by submission. I don't see it. I think it's not zero. We did see him go for a submission. I think it was against Moutinho in round number 1. Moutinho closing the distance, trying to grab a leg, and then O'Malley going for a guillotine. I think if there was a couple more seconds on that clock at the end of round 1, he probably would have got this submission win there. But otherwise, because the fight doesn't hit the ground, I don't see many opportunities for O'Malley to win by submission. It's not 0%, but it's not up to 5%. It's probably around 3%, 2%, but it's conditional on Marlon Vera engaging in the grappling. I'll leave it at 0% just for now, just because I'm not going to be playing sub anyway, and it's going to be less than 5%. So we'll leave it at 0% again. Sean O'Malley to win by decision. I think that's his most likely path. I think he'll cruise to decision. He might win like 49-46, probably 50-45 if I'm being honest. 48-47 at the worst. So I think he wins a majority time decision. We're gonna start at 45%. We're gonna leave it there, and then we'll go from there. I might have to add to it. It might be a little bit low. Marlon Vera to win by TKO. That's probably his most likely path, and it's more of a puncher's chance. He does have to sit down and really catch you coming in or counter you with something. It's just, I think Sean O'Malley defensively is pretty good, and I just don't think he gets caught. I think it's the power of Vera, but I think the power of Vera is sort of overrated, if I'm being honest. Dominic Cruz, tail end of his career, 38 years old, got 3 knockdowns against Dominic Cruz. Against Rob Font, again, Rob Font considered a little bit chinnier. More recently, got 3 knockdowns against Rob Font there again. Frankie Edgar at the tail end of his career again as well. Not putting out super durable guys like Sandhagen. He really didn't even land clean on Sandhagen. He landed a couple of jabs against Munoz, but that was about it. So I'm not rating his TKO too high. If I give Sean O'Malley 20%, it's not going to be more than 20% either. I'm going to maybe say 15% for win by KO, and that's probably accurate. I don't think he has more KO equity than Sean O'Malley, just because of the volume aspect and the sticking and moving. Marlon Vera to win by submission. It's going to be the same as the Sean O'Malley side. I just don't see a lot of grappling. I think it's going to be mostly stand up here. If Marlon Vera tries to get the takedowns, I just don't think it's likely. Sean O'Malley being the taller guy, I don't see the guillotine likely either, because Sean O'Malley would have to duck down, try to get a double leg, and that's just not O'Malley. So what other submissions could you possibly get? We talked about when he's on top, when O'Malley's on bottom, he really limits it to full guard and half guard. So it's not like there's many submissions there for Vera. I'm going to also put it 0. I just don't see many submissions. I talked about maybe just the guillotine, but again, Sean O'Malley's not going to shoot. So yeah, 0% there. And then win by decision, it's just Marlon Vera is not a volume guy, right? And we talked about, for him to win the decision, it's going to have to be multiple big moments where he gets multiple knockdowns to secure rounds. He's going to probably have to get 3 knockdowns like in the Rob Font fight to win a decision, to win those 3 rounds. Sean O'Malley never been knocked down. I just don't see it. So I think his decision equity probably about 10%. 10%, 15%. Let's go 15% just because Marlon Vera does have cardio, and I want to say Maybe it's the cardio edge. We did see O'Malley start to slow down a little bit, maybe against Moutinho, just because that was crazy output and he's just moving backwards the whole time. But I think because Marlon Vera is not in your face pressuring the whole time, not walking you down the whole time, that it's going to be a little bit slower pace for O'Malley, that he should be okay, cardio wise. He's never really gone 5 rounds. He's been scheduled to be in 5-round fights, but we haven't seen him super deep. So I do give, if I'm going to give an edge somewhere, it's probably going to be cardio for Marlon Vera. So I'll give him 15% to win by decision there. And then I'm going to raise up the Sean O'Malley side from 45 to 50% here. So let's go over the numbers just to summarize everything. Sean O'Malley to win by TKO 20%, plus 400 or better. Sean O'Malley to win by decision 50%, plus 100 or better, for a total money line of 70%, minus 233 or better. On the Vera side, 15% to win by TKO, plus 567 or better, or win by decision 15%, plus 560. Okay, so that's going to be a total money line for Marlon Vera at 30%, plus 233 or better. I think that sounds about right. Fight to go, not to go to decision, plus 186. To go to decision, 65% or minus 186. I think it goes to decision more often than not. Again, both guys very, very durable. Power somewhat a little bit overrated there. So I do think Sean O'Malley probably cruises to decision. I think 70% sounds about right. Could go up to 75% if I'm being honest. But I think Sean O'Malley's the side. I'm pretty confident on that as well. So I might end up playing that side. Let me see where the line is at. I haven't checked it recently. FightOdds.io. Let's go over to next week. Sean O'Malley, Vera. Sean O'Malley, yeah, minus 235. The line is coming down a little bit, plus 200 on the Vera side. So, fuck, man, almost exactly where we have it. Plus 235, or sorry, minus 235 on the O'Malley side, plus 200 on the Vera side. One of these things, man, where you spend all this time taping the fight, you get a pretty good read on it, you put all these numbers together, and then you realize the odds are probably right dab where they want to be, where they should be. So Kelly criterion, you can see here, 0.1, minus 0.1 there, not telling me a ton of value. I said 70%, minus 233 or better. We're getting 235. So keep an eye on it. It does look like money coming in on the O'Malley side. So I'm probably going to play that side now before it gets even worse. And then on the Vera side, plus 200 there. So we might be able to get some prop values. We're going to keep an eye out on the props. Maybe some totals there for the O'Malley side. But I think that's about right. I don't think anything's crazy off. It might be off by 5%, 10% at the most, but I really don't see it. So I think Sean O'Malley wins by decision here at UFC 299. I'm going to be playing that side. Best of luck. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, how you see the fight going. If you are on the Marlon Vera side, let me know. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe he has a trick up his sleeve where he can find success in this fight. But that's how I see the fight going. Let me know how I did. My name is Art C. This is Fighting Stats. Thanks for watching. Guys, well, that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this type of content, make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe. You'll get notified anytime we put out new content. Listen to this. We just hit a massive parlay for $29,000 at UFC 297. That is one UFC after 296 where we hit a parlay for $82,000. That's back-to-back parlays. We've made $110,000. And how do we do it? We use our exclusive fighting stats, not available anywhere else. Our exclusive fighting stats gives us information, gives us a big edge over the sportsbooks, and tell us what's going to happen within the fights. We post all that information, our breakdowns, our best bets, over at patreon.com/fightingstats. Don't miss out. Make sure you subscribe today. Again, my name is Art C. This is Fighting Stats. Thanks for watching.